Good evening. I'm the Fit Lawyer ATL, and we are live. Welcome. It's so good to see you all. It's been about 5 days, 5 or 6 days. I think last time I was live was for the 10K celebration party. So shout out to everyone who was there. All right, we got Kia Elder was the first in the chat tonight. Hey Kia, she says this will be good, girl. You already know. You see, it's about Diddy, so definitely. We got Jamaica Sweet in the house. She says, Brady, are you saying the answer to why he doesn't already have it? We'll see. Here Comes Drama was in the house. Shout out, Here Comes Drama, one of my moderators. Thank you so much. Here Comes Drama is going to finish dinner, so she'll be back. Thank you so much, sis, for getting it started in the chat for me. Shout out to Mixed Chick. We got Mixed Chick in the house. Shout out to a member, Mixed Chick. She says, hello, ready for the live. Me too, sis. I'm so excited. I've been checking Pacer like all day. Just trying to see if those affidavits I was already waiting for that are due by tomorrow are back, but they're not. But there's been motions on motions on motions. So I'm like, you know what? I can't wait till Friday. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. Hey, Lynetta Jackson. Hey, Miss Jackson. Good to see you here for a live. Hey, SWAT says, hey, Fit. Good to see you in the house. We got Erin Knox. She's been waiting. Shout out, Erin. Erin is my assistant. Yes. Trakisha McNeil is in the chat. Says, hey, family. Smiling Sunshine says, hey, Fit. All right, y'all are in the house and ready. Make sure you hit the like button on the way in. Get me in the algorithm. Yes, so there are tons of Diddy updates. So this is your first time tuning in. I'm the Fit Lawyer ATL, a 20-year defense attorney here in Atlanta, Georgia. I started as a public defender for 8 years in Fulton County, and I've been in private practice since 2014. So seen a lot of this justice system going up against Fonnie Willis and her team several times. So yes, shout out to Miss CDB. She is listening in traffic. Stay safe. Don't swerve on me, because we're gonna be laughing and cutting up, having a good time. All right, Nini's in the house. She says, hey everybody. So Perfect Peace in the house says, good evening, Fit, mods, chat, and invisible viewers. Because Perfect Peace, you know they there, right? They always hiding in the bushes, right? All right, I ain't even been on YouTube 90 days. I already got people hiding in the bushes, but hey, you know how it is. Yes, get your popcorn, get your popcorn. So there are Diddy updates. All right, so for those who don't know, I don't know how you wouldn't know, but Diddy was indicted back in September, right? And so his case has been pending. It's in federal court. It is set to start May 5th. Here Comes Drama. Say, if you're lurking, come on in. I know, right? Come on in. Introduce yourself. Say, hey, Fit in the chat, right? Look, no, I got love for everybody in here. Everybody. Just Lee is a member of the house. Shout out Just Lee. Thank you for joining us. So, yes, Diddy was indicted in September, and so his case is pending in federal court. The discovery, which is all the evidence that the government is going to be using against him, has been sealed. So we will not get to actually see or hear about this evidence for real, until the trial starts May 5th, right? But until then, we're left with the letter motions that they file in federal court that we can see. We're left with reports back from the hearings that are occurring, but we're not able to get video cameras in, right? This is not going to be like the YSL trial. Law and Crime's not going to be able to be in there with cameras. We're just not going to be able to see it. So the only time we get a glimpse of what the evidence actually is when the attorneys file something in the case. So y'all, it's been motions, then another motion, a redacted motion, and then another motion, and we about to get into it. So if you haven't already, click that like button so you can like the live, and let's go. So the latest, Diddy has filed a motion on January 14th asking for the government to turn over the freak off tapes. So we're going to explain why he doesn't have access to these tapes. And what I was most surprised about was, I thought these tapes were tapes that the government confiscated for Diddy's house. Y'all, Cassie turned over the tapes. Where? Okay, my buzzer. I gotta have my buzzer. The studio is getting set up. This is a buzzer moment. These are videos that Cassie turned over to the government. So when Cassie filed her lawsuit, it got paid in less than 24 hours. She also started working with the feds. And so the freak off tapes that we all thought got confiscated from Diddy's home were actually videos that were turned over to the government by Cassie. Can you believe that? So these freak off tapes are tapes that Cassie held on to over the years and submitted to the government, and they are using them against Diddy. Now I thought that blew my mind. Like, I'm like, Cassie turned over. Okay, because if they were freak off tapes, like we were told, showing sex trafficking, multiple sex workers, victim one, who we can all presume is Cassie, being drugged and forced into sexcapades, but she kept the tapes. Like, that's not making sense to me. So that was right. So I said, damn, right. Like, not only did she get her, well, I believe it was probably triple 30 million, because you know the price always goes up after the lawsuit is filed. But not only did she get her money, but she also turned over the tapes. Like, why was she holding the tapes? I don't understand. So we're gonna get into all of that. We're gonna go over the protective order and to explain like how Diddy's attorneys don't even get copies of these tapes at all. And now, you know, I've been practicing for almost 20 years, right? So back in the day, in some of the smaller counties, the outskirt metro counties, they would not turn over discovery to you for, say, like a DUI case. You would have to come into their office and watch the video, take notes, and then go back to your client and tell them what occurred. That's what's going on in this case. Like, they're not turning over the tapes. And this whole time, I thought they were freak off tapes from Diddy's home. So what exactly did they confiscate? What videos did they confiscate from his home that they're trying to use in this case? I don't know. Like, the more motions that the defense files and the longer this case is pending, I'm like, where is the rest of the case? Where is the excitement of the case? Where are the victims, right? Because we still just got victim one, which we know is Cassie. So where are the other victims? And where are the other people involved in this conspiracy? Why is no one else charged? And how she had the tapes? Okay, so we got to get into that. Let me see what y'all saying in the chat. Miss CDB says she was building her case. Yes, she was saving up evidence and supposedly writing a tell-all book, and that's how the whole negotiations went back and forth before the lawsuit was filed. Yeah, I don't know. Kay Schmidt says that baby oil really painted a different picture. It does, right? But it's the picture that the government is painting. So we still don't know for sure what is in the baby oil. I still cannot understand why, after the lawsuit, after you pay, and after you know that the feds are investigating, why do you still have baby oil in your house when they come to, I don't understand that part. Like, let it go. At this point, it's time to stop. That's what I always tell clients. They call me, they're like, oh, a federal agent came by talking to me about this. Like, what can I do about it? Well, you can't undo the past, but I need you to stop doing what you were doing going forward. So why was Diddy still with the baby oil? No clue. Leclerc E. Whitlock says Wendy Williams said Diddy's gonna spend the rest of his life behind bars. I believe it. Leclerc Whitlock, I mean, I kind of feel that way as well, but I'm still waiting for like that piece of evidence that's gonna make me say, yes, this is it. He's never coming home. Like with the R. Kelly case, the second case, we knew it was a wrap. Like, the fact that you got off from the first case, went home, and made a new tape with another young child watching the tape from the first, like, that was a done deal, right? But with Diddy, I'm still waiting because the press conference that we got from the New York AUSAs was amazing, right? It was, we got this, we're charging him with RICO, racketeering, we got sex trafficking. But the more and more motions that get filed, I'm wondering, like, when is somebody else besides Cassie gonna become a part of this case? I just don't know. I don't know. Objection 403 says, did she wait until she finally got away from him before she turned them in so she didn't get beat again? But they've been broken up now for almost 10 years. So I think 8 years prior to the lawsuit being filed were they together. So she's married and I believe has 2 kids. I know y'all will correct me in the chat because the chat is like Chat GPT. Y'all will always fact check us. K. Smith says the raid was for drama. Yeah, I'm starting to feel that way too, because when it happened, I did kind of wonder, were they going in to get evidence against other people like they wanted to hide and we weren't going to see any charges? But then I saw charges, so I'm like, okay, well, what did they get out of the house? It wasn't these free call tapes, I tell you that. Just Lee says it's starting to seem like the only evidence they have is from Cassie. That's what it seems like. That's what it's sounding like. I mean, she's the only victim in the case. They had a victim too they were mentioning, but supposedly hadn't ever spoken to her yet. So I don't know. Yes, Miss Chick, I'm billing you for this conversation. Yes, this will be one of the first shirts and merchandise. As soon as I get the new studio set up, then we will start working on merchandise because I got a few things that I know y'all love. So everyone loves this shirt. So this will be the first one in the catalog. Kia Elder 305 says, if Cassie had tapes that Diddy was trafficking, and especially children, and she didn't report it, could she be held liable? No, she's not a mandated reporter, so they wouldn't hold her liable. And they're alleging that she's a victim as well. So there's that, right? So Alchemy in the house, one of my fave mods in the house. What's up? She says, hey, Fit ATL family. Yes, thank you for joining us. So Nene says, one of our members, Justin B, Al B, bodyguards. I'm sure it's a long list waiting to me too. Yeah, it's a long list waiting to testify. But I'm curious as to if other people will be added to the indictment. So I've heard rumor that they were going to unseal another indictment that will have co-conspirators in it. But until that happens, yeah. And K. Smith says, if the baby oil was drugged, we know it by now. But would we? Because remember now, all of the discovery has been sealed. So they're not releasing any of it. So the things that we hear is all rumor mill and things that we can kind of pick up from the motion, which we'll get into in a minute, because when Diddy's attorneys filed this motion, the government came back and said they violated the protective order in the motion. So the motion is real juicy. Like, they put enough details in the motion so we know we can kind of guess what's on the tapes, and we definitely know who is on the tapes with Diddy as far as alleged victim number 1. So that's going to be interesting, because the motion that I'm going to review that Diddy filed on the 14th actually has been stricken from the record. So you can't even access it now. I'm thankful that I grabbed it the night of the 14th because it's not there anymore. So we have the amended one and we can see additional redactions to that one. So we're going to get into that. So K. Smith has become a new member. Thank you so much, K. Smith. Dropping comments in the chat, became a new member. So glad to have you here. So thank you. All right, y'all. So, I know y'all, we got 61 in the chat. Make sure you hit the like button on the way in, and we are going to get into this motion. So I got a little pointer that I'm going to be using tonight. Hopefully that's, helps us see the screen a little better. All right. So so let's start with the motion. And remember last time we discussed these federal motions, right? State court, they file actual motion. It gets filed in court. Maybe the defense will respond, maybe not. And then there has to be a court date set to hear those motions, right? If y'all are following the YSL trial, Christian Eppinger was supposed to have a self-defense immunity motion or whatever. Monday it got reset. Well, in federal court, the motions are in these letter format. So the letter gets filed, and then the other side responds, and the judge can rule directly from the letter. It doesn't have to be a hearing date. So things happen quickly in federal court, which is why if you catch a federal case, it's a lot more than a state case, and you got to pay them up front. Because you see, Diddy's case got indicted in September, and there have been 127 filings, and we're in January. So federal court is not like state court, and so things move pretty quickly. All right, so this is the motion that he filed January 14th. And as I stated, if you go to the federal docket, this motion has been removed, and it has been replaced with the motion that was filed on the 15th, because the government alleged that in this motion we're getting ready to review, that Diddy actually violated the protective order. Clay Display says, why does he want the tapes? Because he's trying to prepare his defense. So if the government, anytime any defendant in any case always wants all the evidence that the government is trying to use against you, so you can prepare your defense, because you don't want to get to trial and the first time you see these tapes or when the government plays them, because we need to authenticate the tapes. The defense needs to get their own expert. We need to review the tape, make sure the tape hasn't been amended or changed. Make sure the metadata on the tape hasn't been changed, because those things can be manipulated. So if you're trying to say, this is my client on tape, this is a sex trafficking incident, I want the tape prior to trial so that I can prepare my defense. Patrick Humble says, what type of victim has freak off tapes in their possession for years and keeps them safe playing chess? Yeah. I don't know either, Patrick Humble. When I saw where the origin of the tapes, I was like, oh, Cassie had the tapes? It's so weird. It's so weird. You're right. Your fit photographer says they don't want to be blindsided. Exactly. So this is why you want all the evidence that the state is going to use against you in advance. And guess what? Brady also requires them to turn over evidence that they're not going to use against you, evidence that would help you. And that's what the government is arguing about these tapes, is that, hey, we want these tapes because they actually help. They actually help Diddy. So let's get into it. All right, so I got my red cursor. Can y'all see it? Wait a minute. Can y'all see that? Can y'all see my cursor? Because I don't see it. Oh, wait a minute. It's like really little. I don't know. I don't think that worked. Okay. Well, just read along with me. Dear Judge Subramanian, we write on behalf of our client, Sean Combs, to request a modification of the terms of the protective order, which is document number 26, to require the government to electronically produce videos described in paragraphs 12A and 12C of the indictment. Okay, so I just want to pause, because everybody's like, well, what is the protective order? What was the indictment? Now, we're not going to go through the whole indictment, but I am going to point out paragraph 12A and 12C so we can know exactly what they're talking about. So I have did that switch on the screen? I do not think it did. Okay, so I have the protective order. So I want to bring the protective order up so we can go over that document, just so you all can see, like, what are we talking about? So with a protective order, I actually just got served one of these in a case I have where the alleged victim is a child. And so when you have, how can I say, like, sensitive material, if it may be something like child pornography or some type of explicit tapes or something that, if leaked, would be detrimental to the victim or paint the victim in a bad light, they will issue a protective order requiring you not to disseminate that information. So basically, sometimes I can't even share it with my client, or like in this case, or my client and I have to agree that we won't share it with anyone else. So so that's what this is going over. I'm sorry, I saw Mixed Chicks comment. Don't let TLA see the cursor. Right. So look, I'm working on the cursor. He got to tell. That's not part of the class I've gotten to yet. So we still working on the cursor. But this protective order basically states that the government will make disclosure to the defendant of documents, objects, and information, including electronically stored information, as a courtesy or pursuant to Federal Rule of Criminal Procedure 16, and the government's general obligation to produce exculpatory and impeachment material in criminal cases, all of which will be referred to herein as disclosure material. So basically, this whole protective order talks about what they can disclose and will disclose to Diddy. So I just want to go over this part about the APO and the APE. So sealed material may contain material that could identify someone, identify witnesses, or that could be used to intimidate or obstruct the case. Now, they gave the evidence two different type of designations. So they had the attorney's possession only material, and this is material that can only be possessed by the attorney, but they actually get a copy of it. They can't give it to the defendant, but at least the attorney has it. Their staff members, they can review it and they can relate to the defendant what it is. And then they had this other designation, which is where these freak out tapes fall into, and it's attorney's eyes only. And this means that only the attorneys can view this information, and they have to do it under government's like watch. So law enforcement is either with the attorneys or someone from the government while they view the evidence, and then that's it. They don't get to take it with them. They don't get to get a copy of it. And that is where these tapes lie. They are being categorized as attorneys' eyes only. So that is why Diddy cannot get a copy of these tapes. Okay. So the attorneys made an appointment with the government, went in, sat down, watched the tapes, and then they get to report back. But after they watched the tapes, that is what led them to file the motion. And we're going to go back to that. Oh, I got like five screens over here. Presentation today. All right. So let's go back to this motion so we can get into the juiciness of it. Okay. So this is the protective order. This is when they were asking to have it amended. So the protective order includes a novel provision making this video evidence available for inspection only and not electronically produced. So they only get to peek. You only get to come peek at it, but you don't get a copy. Having reviewed these videos, it is now abundantly clear that they confirm Mr. Combs' innocence. This is what his attorneys say. The videos show he's innocent. Now, I don't know. They also say that their full exculpatory value cannot be investigated and used unless they are electronically produced. Rule 16, A1E expressly requires production of copies of such materials to the defense, and there is no plausible good cause to restrict access to them. So what Diddy's attorneys are saying is the government has categorized this evidence as attorney eyes only, but really it doesn't qualify, Judge. So we are asking you to amend the protective order and let us get this. Okay. The 9 videos at issue are the so-called freak off tapes with victim 1 that the government has repeatedly referenced, causing wild speculation in the media. Contrary to what the government has led this court and the public to believe, the so-called freak-offs were private sexual activity between fully consenting adults in a long-term relationship. Like many Americans in the privacy of their own bedrooms, they sometimes filmed their sexual activity. These videos unambiguously show that the person alleged in the indictment to be victim 1 not only consented, but thoroughly enjoyed herself. What? So Diddy's defense says that these 9 videos are the videos that the government has always referenced as freak-offs, but after they watched them in front of the government, it was clear that they actually show consensual sexual activity. Here comes Drama says, oh my. Right. Because now the question is, what type of sexual activity do they show, right? Because some of y'all can get a little freaky. Some of y'all maybe do a little something that's not, the standard, right? And maybe if a lay person reviewed it that was a little vanilla, maybe they would feel like it was I don't know, strange, a freak off. Or maybe it was freaky, right? Maybe what if there are 4 people outside of Cassie and Diddy in these tapes? But if Cassie is enjoying herself or appears to be enjoying herself, she's not saying no. She's not running away. What if she's like passing out drinks and going to get items that they're using in these sexcapades? Like, what if that's what we're seeing? But his attorneys are saying, Diddy's attorneys are saying that these 9 freak off tapes actually show consensual sexual activity between victim 1 and Diddy. Steph J says this whole thing is just for the media. They're trying to humiliate her. Right? And we're going to get into that because the government definitely said y'all are violating the protective order by even talking like this about these tapes. Cajun Queen says this is BS. In abusive situations, women do what they need to do to survive. Not to mention his lawyer is a liar. Yeah, his lawyer did get caught lying to the judge a couple times. They have been painting the picture in Diddy's favor a couple times, and when things actually come out, it's not like they say, like the legal notebooks, right? Supposedly Diddy went back and wrote legal after the fact on one of the notebooks, and I think the judge fussed about that. Patrick Humble says illegal and freaky are 2 different things. It's 2025, not the 1700s. That's true. They got sex clubs these days. Atlanta has, I am not a part of it, but I am aware that Atlanta has a very big swinger scene. Some of our Real Housewives participate, some other celebrities. I mean, it's always in the news. So I don't know. Alchemy says his lawyer is a scumbag. His credibility has definitely been called into question, and every time something happens with his attorneys and they get fussed at, then it's like another one joins the team to say, "Okay, the judge hates you. Let me stand up now and talk." Right? Michelle Geardy says it's Gidry. I hope I pronounced that right. If she is drunk and the drinks are spiked, do you look unwilling at fit? I mean, yeah, I think that you can. I don't know, right? I think you would be able to look at someone on a video and say if they're drugged, but what if I'm drugged with something that's making me happy, that's making me, go along with it to where I look like I'm participating and that I'm enjoying myself, but I'm really drugged and I'm not. Because not, everybody doesn't use Quaaludes, right, that knock you out. It could have been a good time drug, right, or a fun time drug. I don't know, but here comes Drama says not fit starting with I'm not. Look, you have to let people know, okay? Because I don't want any DMs, inboxes, or comments tomorrow on the replay. Fit in it? No. I am not, but I know that it exists, and so maybe some of it is what they're seeing on the tapes. I have no clue, y'all, because guess what? All of this evidence is being sealed, so we can't see it. But Diddy's lawyers say the tape show consensual activity. Let's keep reading. All right, let me go back. The 9 videos at issue are the so-called freak-off tapes with victim 1. Oh, did I already read all that? I'm sorry, I sure did. Sorry, I stopped at enjoyed herself. Let me start. These recordings corroborate what witnesses have told the government, namely that victim 1, and then we got some redactions. That's what this black line, anytime you see that, you see my cursor, here comes drama, it's there a little bit. So anytime you see the black part, these are redactions, and they're redacted due to the protective order that we saw. The recordings also directly refute the allegations that Mr. Combs kept these videos as collateral. These recordings were not on Mr. Combs' devices and were not seized from his homes. Rather, victim 1 kept these videos on her own device for years and produced them to the government herself. That's was the biggest surprising part to me, that Cassie had these tapes all this time. And I am not the victim of sex trafficking, so I do not, and I cannot speak to that. But I was very surprised to hear that these 9 tapes that the government calls freak offs, Cassie has had all these years, and that she turned them over. I'm like, well, where did they get out the raid? I guess baby oil. I don't know, but the tapes definitely came from Cassie. Moreover, contrary to innumerable sensationalistic media reports, the videos do not depict sex parties. There are no secret can't talk all these big words. There are no secret cameras, no orgies, no other celebrities involved, no underground tunnels, no minors, and not so much as a hint of coercion or violence. Far from the government's lurid descriptions, the videos show adults, there's an S on there now, adults having consensual sex, plain and simple. At bottom, this case is about whether victim 1 was or was not a willing participant in her private sex life with Mr. Combs. The videos confirm that she plainly was. Wow, that's a lot. That is a lot. That is a lot. So they say no other celebrities were involved. No underground tunnels. Y'all peep like what Diddy's attorneys are doing. They're trying to play us. I don't know if they're playing us in the sense of this is truly what the tapes show, but they are definitely taking this opportunity to fight back at everything the government has ever said about the videos, about what they alleged Diddy did, about how the sex trafficking was committed. They are dispelling all of that, or attempting to, through their motion. But some of y'all are calling Diddy's lawyer a piece of shit, so you may not be falling for it. K. Schmidt says they're bluffing. They're bluffing. Steph J says they're talking a lot about videos they act like they haven't seen. And this is like the games that both sides get to play because the evidence has been sealed. So us, the public, we don't have a way of knowing who's, bullshitting us at all. And we won't know. And neither will the jury pool know until they're presented with the evidence in trial. But this is definitely tainting us. Every time we hear one of these salacious motions filed, yeah, what's going on? Patrick Humble says Cassie playing chess and whatever role is necessary. I mean, she definitely held on to those tapes. Nene says, and the LA house burned down. Oh, I wasn't aware. All the stars' houses are burning down. Like what's going on in LA is so sad. And there's so many celebrity houses burned down. It just makes you wonder, like, what is going on? But that could be a different live, because I'm sure we could go down the rabbit hole of conspiracy theory on that. So let me go back to this motion, because y'all, they got some more. So background. Soon after Mr. Combs was charged, the parties, and this means the Diddy's lawyers and the government, began negotiating the terms of a protective order. During those negotiations, the government insisted, over defense objection, that certain videos obtained from victim one and depicting alleged freak-offs would not be electronically produced and would instead only be made available for in-person viewing while monitored by law enforcement. So they don't even let Diddy's attorneys view these videos alone. They have someone standing over them as they view it. The government explained that victim one, whose attorney gave these videos to the government, requested that they not be produced to protect her privacy and that the government would honor that request. So Cassie, as she turned over these videos to the government, had a caveat. I'm going to give you this evidence against him, but I do not want it turned over. And I mean, if I was Cassie, I wouldn't want it turned over either, because I would be afraid that they would get leaked, because a lot of things get leaked from this case. To ensure we would receive discovery without further delay, the defense agreed to receive the discovery under those conditions, while reserving the right in the proposed order to later seek modifications of designations from the court. So basically, they said, we never really agreed with this, but we wanted to get on with the case. So we accepted it, and with the caveat that we could come back and change it, and this is what we're asking for. Let me stop. We got a super chat from Is the Kid. Shout out to Is the Kid. Sends a $10 super chat. Hi Fit, YouTube's best kept secret. Thank you. So it is fair to say the defense is going to argue the freak-offs were consensual. As a defense attorney, is that the best strategy? If the tapes support that strategy, yes. That is the best. That's always the best defense. Whenever there's allegations of rape or some type of sexual allegations, consent to those allegations. Consent is really a good defense to a lot of things. I have a aggravated stalking case now, and that is the best defense, is that the alleged victim consented to my client being present. So therefore, how can we be stalking? So consent is a great defense. And if the videos show consensual sexual activity, yes, it's a great defense. So shout out Is the Kid. I the Kid. I'm sorry, I put some extra vowel letters in there. I the Kid. Shout out for your $10 super chat and great question. And that was, is this a good strategy to argue that it was consent? And the answer is yes. Consent is a great strategy to argue. In this case, especially if the videos, like the defense says, show consensual activity. All right, let's get back into the document. But shout out I the Kid. Thank you so much for that super chat. So after spending 4 weeks attempting to schedule viewing of the evidence, the defense was finally able to watch the videos under the supervision of law enforcement on November 20th and December 13th of 2024. The evidence consists of 9 videos depicting 6 unambiguously consensual sexual encounters. So that means a couple of these encounters were on multiple videos, because we got 9 tapes of 6 sexual encounters. In all 6 of these encounters, victim 1 is not only consenting, she is evidently happy, dominant, and completely in control. I don't know, y'all. What is, I don't do drugs like sex drugs or honey packs or whatever the pills from the gas station. Like, does any of that stuff make you dominant, happy, and completely in control? I don't know. Like, is that anything? What y'all thinking? Leclerc E. Whitlock says, will the defense argue that the ass whoopings were consensual too? Diddy was exhibiting pimp tactics, right? Because we all saw the video from the hotel. So we all saw her at the elevator trying to leave and getting drugged back, right? And I don't know if you also saw, there was a video that was going around online where Cassie was like on the floor on the side of the bed, wrapped up in like a blanket, and Diddy was standing over her, berating her. And so you can just imagine that this is something that occurs frequently. And so if that is the case, do I just put on, right? Do I go along with it? If I know that I'm going to get my ass whooped if I don't put on these red bottoms, strut around in this two-piece, play Diddy games, drink whatever he's asking me to drink, take whatever drug, does that make it consensual because I make it appear that I'm happy with it? Because LeClaire E. Whitlock is right. Like, was that ass whooping that he came out and apologized for? Was that consensual? So, you know, I just don't know. Shout out to Mixed Chicks. Mixed Chick donated, gifted 5 Fit Lawyer memberships. Shout out Mixed Chick. Thank you so much. If you received a membership from Mixed Chick, thank her in the chat. Thank you so much, Mixed Chick, for sending out 5 Fit Lawyer memberships. Thank you so much. Yes, Alchemy, he would only apologize after he was busted, right? Because for months, Diddy has been trying, even after the lawsuit came out and he paid Cassie off within less than 24 hours, he still was trying to convince us that he didn't do these things. His mama came out and made a statement. Other baby mamas making statements. That was about it though, right? Because it wasn't too many people coming out speaking up for him. But he denied it until that. And I feel like the video got leaked because he was making such grand denials of this ever being something he would ever participate in. Like, this is something so against my character that the government was like, oh, really? Okay. CNN, here you go. Because that video came out and he was right up there somewhere in some cabin looking homely with his little brown t-shirt on, looking like he hadn't shaved in a few days, apologizing. So, you know, yes, he only admitted it after he got caught. But his attorneys are looking at these tapes and they're saying it's not what the government is giving. And you never know, right? I don't know if any of you all checked out my interview that I did with Rachel Kaufman, who represented someone in the YSL trial. And she talks about how she had a client one time at the bond hearing, and the state said that he was a body in the trunk. And there never was a body in the trunk. And so a lot of times when the evidence is under seal or not served yet, the state will kind of put 20 on 10. They'll kind of make it seem like it's worse than what it is, and then you get it and it's not. I don't know. I don't know. Khadijah says he should have went into the porn business legally since he want to start and produce, right? Because he clearly could have made a lot of money in the porn industry. So it's just interesting when people participate in things that are illegal, but that they would be legal. And they could be legal if you would just do it the right way, but you just want to be such a grimy, dirty person that you want to beat somebody into submission, into participating in freak-offs, allegedly. When there are plenty of women who would sign up to participate in those free of charge. I don't get it. Shout out to Alchemy. She sends a super sticker for $20. I love you, sis. Thank you so much. No question, no comment, pure love of the game. Thank you so much, sis. This is, like I said, was one of my first moderators. So shout out. She will keep me in the YouTube know, because y'all know I still practice. I've been in court all week. So if I'm missing out on something, I will get a text and a link, and she keeps me in the know. So shout out. Thank you so much, Alchemy. I greatly appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so, so much. All right. When y'all blessed me like this, we got to get back into it. All right, so let's get back into this motion. Y'all, we got a lot of black coming up, a lot of redactions. The evidence, let's see. In all 6 of these encounters, oh yeah, I said she appears happy, dominant, and completely in control. There is no evidence of any violence, coercion, threats, or manipulation whatsoever. There is no evidence that anyone is incapacitated or under the influence of drugs or excessive alcohol consumption. There is certainly no evidence of sex trafficking. So Diddy's attorneys are saying, the tapes aren't showing that stuff, y'all. Rule 16 requires the electronic production of these videos, and that the government must permit the defendant to inspect and to copy data that is within the government's possession, custody, or control, and that is material to preparing the defense. As direct evidence undermining the core of the government's case, freak-off activity is the core of this case. These videos are unquestionably material. Then they go into the court's authority as to why the judge can amend this in quotes case law. And they say that the government has to meet a certain burden in order for them to prove that these videos should be sealed, should be basically attorney eyes only. And they say there's no good cause to prevent the electronic production of these highly exculpatory videos, because this case does not involve classified information or child pornography. There is no authority to restrict the defense counsel's possession, review, and analysis of these videos. Moreover, any concerns regarding victim one's privacy interests are adequately protected by the remaining provisions of the protective order. And what the protective order required was, if anyone did view the evidence, they had to sign a log, and they have to sign and date it to when they viewed it and who was supervising them viewing it, and they have to file that log with the court. So Diddy's attorneys are saying, one, this evidence is not something that even rises to the need to be protected. It's not child pornography. It's their sexual encounters on tape. And two, that there already are provisions in place. Everyone that views it has to sign the log. But y'all, what y'all think? Do y'all think the judge is going to let them get a copy of these tapes? I know if I was Cassie, I wouldn't want Diddy to get a copy of my tape to be able to sit in jail and fantasize over me watching these old tapes, because he still torments her any chance he can get. Like, he had the nerve to stand up at the award show a couple of years ago and thank Cassie at the end when he received, I think it was the Lifetime Achievement Award or one of those big awards. He actually thanked her for being a part of his life. And I think he said like a bright light or something during his dark period. She actually put that at the beginning of her lawsuit when she filed it. So if I'm victim one, who we believe is Cassie, I don't want him to get a copy of those tapes either. I don't want him sitting in jail watching sexcapades of us or old freak-offs of us, knowing that he tormented me for years. I wouldn't want that either. But then on the flip side, if I'm Diddy's attorneys, I need my client to be able to help me prepare a defense. So I need him to look at this tape, tell me, is this the time that it actually occurred? Who else was around? Or who are these sex workers, if any of those are on the tapes? Like, you need your client to watch it, because as attorneys, we aren't there. The government wasn't present, and Diddy's attorneys weren't present. So only the two people, only Diddy and Cassie, know what really happened in these tapes. So I want my client to be able to see these tapes so he can help me create a defense. That's any defense team would want that. But I do understand the flip side of that. I understand why we don't want Diddy to have access to these tapes. Allegedly, he's already been in the jail using other people's PIN numbers to allegedly call witnesses. Like, we don't want him to get a copy of these tapes and then do something with them or contact people. And you just never know. Like, so I totally understand Cassie's position, but as a defense attorney, give me the damn tapes. I need the tapes. If we're going to trial, I need the tapes. I want the officer's body cam. I want the dash cam tape. I want your mama talking to whatever. If it's going to come up in trial, I want whatever tape you have against my client. I want it. I need it. Turn it over. We want it. Like I used to hate back in the day because when stuff used to still be on like DVDs or whatever, and we had to go to the prosecutor's office and watch it. Like you really can't do anything with it. I can't have an expert watch something if you're not going to give it to me. That's what happens now. In all my DUI cases, I have an expert. I get the video. I send it straight to my expert. He can watch it. But if you're Diddy's attorneys and the state won't give you the tapes, then you can't send them to an expert to review. We're going to get into a little bit more. They're going to talk about the problems they had viewing this evidence, even when they were allowed to. Leclerc E. Whitlock says, what about the guest list of the attendees who participated in those freak-offs? Will the feds release that list or call any of them as witnesses? Well, see, what freak-offs, right? Because these 9 tapes came from Cassie. So if these 9 tapes are the freak-offs and there are no other celebrities in them, I don't know. I guess the other people in the tapes are just sex workers. And I mean, yeah, they will be called as witnesses. And guess what? What if the government or Cassie can't identify a person in the video, but Diddy can? And as his attorney, I can't even show you the tape so you can help me identify these people that could be witnesses that could testify on our behalf and talk about how this encounter was consensual. Diddy called 1-800, get a man, whatever, and he hired 5 escorts to come participate in this sexcapade. And this is what we do. We invoice him at the end of, like, I can't get to any of that if I can't show my client the tape so that he can tell me who was in the tape. So I totally get Diddy's request. And Khadijah says, this is embarrassing for everyone. It is. It is. It is. Because we're talking about these 9 tapes, but are there other tapes? Like, are there tapes of sex parties? Like, where TD Jakes at on the tape? Like, I thought we were supposed to be seeing all of these celebrities on the tapes, right? Allegedly, where are those tapes? Like, I'm feeling like we got bamboozled, y'all. It's starting to feel like this is not going to be as big a case as we thought. Pills, potions, and poison. Shout out, sis. She says, what about the trafficking? Well, the defense says these videos don't show trafficking. They say it shows consensual encounters, sexual encounters, consenting adults with an S. So I don't know. We're still waiting to see that. Shout out to Tamara Osborne, sends a $20 super chat. She says, so for 14 years of their relationship, only 9 tapes show up. Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point. That's a good point. And how did Cassie get these 9 tapes only and not others? I don't know. Or are there other tapes? Like, like this case. It's one thing to be like locked out the courtroom, but when the discovery is still, we're all guessing. We're all guessing. We're all trying to put it together. But you're right. 14 years of a relationship, 9 tapes. 9 tapes. And what's so special about these 9 tapes that show only 6 encounters now? It's only 6 sexcapades on these 9 tapes. How long are the tapes? Are they 20-minute tapes? Are they 6-hour tapes? Are they tapes? Was it recorded on a cell phone? Was there a camera set up? I have so many questions. So many questions. What? I cannot. Right. These. So yes, pills, potions, and poison. These are Cassie's tapes. Right. They did not get these from the raid. We got to rewind it back a little bit. But yeah, that was an emotion. These tapes were turned over by victim 1. These 9 freak off tapes are from Cassie. That just blew my mind when I saw that. All right, let me get back into it. All right, this motion. Jump back. Let's see. All right, so even if there were some remaining privacy concern, any hypothetical risk that the videos would be disclosed in contravention of this court's protective order is substantially outweighed by the real and substantial risk that Mr. Combs's defense will be hampered by limited access to the videos. Unless the protective order is modified to require the government to produce copies of the videos, the defense will not be able to effectively make use of this critical evidence at trial. The videos include audio recording, but much of it is inaudible on the device provided for inspection, and what is barely audible requires headphones to hear. On certain videos, the lighting is also very bad, and the images are quite dark and grainy. Mr. Combs needs to use defense experts who could enhance the quality of the audio and video and analyze the metadata associated with the videos, including when the videos were created or modified. So these are the reasons that his attorneys want the videos. This is what the defense needs to do. This is what they would do. They will hire they will hire an expert. Thank you, Khadijah. Khadijah says, we got your likes, right? Yes, y'all do. I love it. Thank you so much. Y'all always got me on point. Likes always are like more than the people in the chat at the time. So thank you so much, Khadijah. Sorry, I just saw that comment. I had to say something. So thank you. But yeah, so they want to be able to analyze this, right? You can't even hear it. And we used to experience that too. You used to go back to the DA's office. They'll take you into a back room. They pull out this old ass VHS. Y'all remember when you used to be in school and it was like, I don't know, substitute teacher day, and they come rolling in the cart with this old school TV and the old school VCR. Yes, that is the experience you get when you go listen to shit on the government's equipment. They give you the most basic equipment, the outdated crap. Like they'll come to trial with the HD, but you believe when you come in for that meeting to review the evidence, they got you on the old busted TV and VCR in the back. So like they say, they can't even hear the tape. They're listening on headphones. Does that seem fair? Our client, this is from Diddy's side, is fighting for his life. And we got to sit in the room and be under law enforcement watch to review evidence that you're going to use against him in court. It doesn't seem fair. They should just turn over the tapes. At least make them attorney product only, whatever the APO attorney, let the attorneys have a copy of it, and they can't disseminate it, but at least they'll be able to have it and hire experts. It just doesn't seem fair. You got to fight fair. If you got him, you got him. Giving him a copy of the tapes is not going to change anything, right? Pills, potions, rolling the TV out, old school. That's the kind of equipment they bring in for you to hear. That's just not fair. Like, if you got me, let me get a copy of the evidence and let me get my own experts to review it so that we can be on the same ground. I just don't understand why they would fight that part. Just Lee, shout out. Thank you so much, sis. She gifted 5 Fit Lawyer ATL memberships. So if you received a membership from Just Lee, say thank you in the chat. Pyro B More D says thanks for the membership. Yes, thank her for the membership if you were gifted one. Shout out Just Lee. Thank you so much, sis. I really appreciate your support. She's a member herself and is gifting membership to others. So thank you so much, Just Lee. I greatly appreciate your support. But yeah, y'all, does that seem fair? Is that fair? I really think he's going to get these tapes. I think the judge is going to allow him to get these tapes. Let's go back and finish up this motion. So the government has offered to use a neutral expert to enhance the audio and visual quality of the videos. This novel proposal is inconsistent with Rule 16 and due process, right? Yeah, you don't get to tell me, oh, we'll get you an expert. No, you give me my evidence and you let me do it myself. It also does not count for the other ways that Mr. Combs seeks to put the evidence to use. For example, Mr. Combs may need to show the recordings to other experts or witnesses consistent with the terms of the protective order. He may also need to extract portions of the videos to create trial exhibits, stills, and transcripts. All of these tasks will be impossible without obtaining copies of the video evidence. In sum, there is a much greater likelihood that the defendant would be harmed in his ability to prepare a defense by limited access to the materials on the government's terms. Then there is that the materials will be further distributed by the defense. They also get into the Brady material, which is the exculpatory or things that prove him innocent. Brady also requires the government to produce copies of the videos. The government says that under Brady, the government has a constitutional duty to disclose favorable evidence to the accused, where such evidence is material either to guilt or to punishment. And y'all, if these videos truly show consensual sexual activity, then they definitely fall under Brady, and the government should turn them over. His attorneys say it's troubling that the government has had this evidence since December 2023 and nonetheless brought these charges. The video evidence refutes the claim that victim 1 was forced to participate and can only be squared with her account if one assumes, as the government apparently does, that certain women cannot consent despite all indications to the contrary. Man, Diddy's attorneys are laying it into Cassie, okay? They are, because you know she's keeping up with every filing in this case. And they basically are just continuously talking about her sexual encounters. So she turned these videos over December 2023. Y'all, when was the lawsuit filed? November 2023. And the lawsuit was settled November 2023. November 17th, 2023 to be exact. How would you feel knowing that you paid, because y'all, it had to be more than 30. I'm telling you, I've been doing accident cases for 10 years, which is personal injury. Every time I file a lawsuit, I want money. And prior to filing those lawsuits, we will send demand letters to the insurance companies. And if I send a demand letter and I ask for a certain amount, you best believe if I go through and file a lawsuit, have my paralegal prepare it, all the discovery, then I got to pay a filing fee to file the lawsuit. I then have to pay a process server to get the lawsuit served on however many entities I'm serving. So if I sue 2 people, I got to serve both people. I believe in Cassie's lawsuit against Diddy, she sued every company that he owned. She had to serve the registered agent of each company. That's money. After I go through that, and in order to prepare the lawsuit, I then have to give a formal statement to my attorney. We got to talk about some details that we may not have gotten into for the demand letter, because now I have to put all of this into a legal filing that will hold up in court. That's work. Hours goes into that. The price that it was before the lawsuit gets filed is definitely not the price that is after. So he definitely paid more than $30 million. I would like him to believe he probably paid somewhere between 50 and 100 million. And how would you feel paying that money and knowing that weeks later, the person you paid and settled with then turns your ass into the feds? Because that's exactly what happened. If they have had these tapes since December 2023, that means 2-3 weeks after Cassie getting paid, she turned these tapes over to the feds. And I'm not, speaking on right or wrong, but God, man, I know Diddy thought when he wrote that check that he was getting rid of her. Diddy wrote that check and thought they were playing chicken, because she started to reach out to his attorneys back in March of 2023, March or April 2023. So from March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, they go back and forth, and Diddy says, no, I'm not paying you. Cassie then calls his bluff and files a lawsuit November, I believe, 16th, which he pays on the 17th. And then she turns his ass into the feds. Damn. Yeah. He was playing in her face. And I said, when I watched that award show and saw him thank her, not even knowing all of this, I was like, Diddy, don't thank me after you beat my ass for years. Don't thank me nationally. When I'm married, moved on with 2 kids, don't thank me. Don't poke me. Don't play with me. And she can't. Hell has no fury like a woman scorned. Not only did she get that check, but she turned him into the feds. So kudos to Cassie. If all of the allegations are true, way to go. If they are not, God, this is why men don't trust us. Because damn, now you got the money and I gotta go to jail. Like, dang. But this is what y'all all ask for every victim to do, right? If you are really a victim, press charges. If you're really a victim, call the police. If you're really a victim, why you ain't trying to get him locked up? Well, Cassie did both. She got her millions and millions and millions of dollars, and she got his ass locked up. So this is, whew, Lord, no wonder he was spazzing out around Christmas time, because y'all know he got discovery around December-ish. And you see his attorneys went to go see this November and December, and Christmas around that time, they say he was in there nothing up. And yeah, to know that you paid, y'all remember Marion Barry, a bitch set me up. Boy, can y'all imagine? Not only I paid you and you set me, turn me in. Wow. Hey, like if everything he did though is true, good for her. Good for her. All right, so let's see. It is, what did I leave off at? Okay, so it is troubling that the government has had this evidence since December 2023 and nonetheless brought these charges. Oh, okay, I read that part. Sorry. All right. So the government in their bail hearing argued that when women are motivated by the loss of their livelihood and housing or experience abuse outside freak-offs, they cannot consent, and that's sex trafficking. So pills, potions, and poisons. This is what they say, that this is what the government says, that Cassie was doing these things because she was scared of losing her livelihood and housing, experiencing abuse outside of the freak-offs, and so therefore is not consensual in sex trafficking. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. The government's view also depends on the characterization of freak-offs as dirty, disgusting, or inherently unsavory, and therefore must have involved some amount of coercion. But the premise that freak-offs are inherently dangerous. So that's what the government's arguing. But Diddy's attorneys are saying, if you believe that, that's only one view. But any fair-minded viewer of the videos will quickly conclude that the prosecution of Mr. Combs is both sexist and puritanical. It is sexist because the government theory perpetuates stereotypes of female victimhood and lack of agency. Wow. So his attorneys are trying to say these freak-offs don't, by you all categorizing these sex tapes as freak-offs, you're basically trying to say that women don't participate in this type of sexual activity. And so therefore it must be victimhood. The prosecution reflects a paternalistic view that the government is here to protect women who cannot be trusted to make their own decisions about sex and are not capable of consenting to sex that the prosecutors view as outside the norm. I don't like that. I do not like this paragraph. What they are saying is that basically the government is taking these tapes and trying to convince Cassie and us that she is being violated on these tapes, but that's not what is actually happening. And while that seems weird, I actually experienced the DA's office in Fulton County telling me that about my rape case. I had a victim that told me she was not raped by my client. And this was all butt down conversation, mix up, blah, blah, blah. And the prosecutor actually looked me in my face and said, she doesn't know that she's been raped. And it's our job to tell her that and to protect her. Okay, not guilty, 37 minutes. Okay, but this is what they do. They do this. So I'm not surprised that Diddy's attorneys are saying this allegation that the state say, because this is what they do. They think that sometimes female victims or females, period, are not smart enough to know if they're being abused physically or sexually, and they have to step in and take charge, and it's their duty to fight and prove to you that you've been raped, even when you're telling them that you have not. And so this is the part of that, like outside looking in, and because we weren't there, right? No one was there. And so we don't know what actually happened on those tapes. We only know what is being said today to have occurred on those tapes. So I need to see the tapes. Forget Diddy. We need the tapes. We need to see the tapes. We need these tapes. What is going on? These videos depict, oh, sorry, I'm reading and I had went back to sharing. Sorry. All right. These videos depict clearly consensual sex among willing adults in a decades-long relationship and fundamentally undermine the government's case and victims one's claims. Indeed, they are entirely consistent with, and we got some more redaction, they are questionably Brady material, notwithstanding the government's outlandish theories, and we anticipate that the undisclosed audio portions and metadata will contain Brady material as well. So basically they're saying, look, we need to be able to hear everything on these tapes, because possibly if we can hear all of the audio, maybe there'll be consensual words. Maybe Cassie will be saying, give it to me, Diddy. Like, I want this, or I'm having fun, or whatever. Or maybe we'll hear, oh, Michelle, something on the tape. I don't know. But they say it's possible. So that's even more reason why we need the audio, so that we can enhance it, because the audio could give us some more evidence that says Diddy isn't guilty of this. Finally, preventing Mr. Combs' defense team from obtaining copies of the videos so he can prepare his defense at trial would violate the due process clause and his right to present a meaningful defense. Courts must ensure the constitutional rights when fashioning discovery protections. There is no good cause to restrict defense counsel's access to the videos, and because the videos must be disclosed pursuant to Brady and Rule 16, we respectfully request that the protective order be modified. So this is the first motion, y'all. This was the first motion. What y'all thinking? Yay! Shout out Miss Williams in the chat. Shout out First Lady. Yes, you made a live. Yes, pills, potions, and poisons. We need to hear or see something. I know that's right. I need the tapes. We need the tapes. We need to see if y'all been dragging us through all of this for the last year, and that man and the tapes don't show what y'all say they show. So we need to see the tapes. But y'all, the motions don't stop there, because remember I said this was motions on top of motions on top of motions. So after Diddy's attorneys filed this motion, and y'all see how much detail they gave us, right? They gave us enough so that we know victim one is Cassie. They told us the date they got the tapes. They told us that the tapes don't show celebrities. It doesn't show a tunnel. It doesn't show any alcohol or drugs. It doesn't show any of that. And guess what the government said, y'all? The government said Diddy violated the protective order in filing his motion about the protective order. Isn't that crazy? And y'all know they did, because that Diddy's motion was just for us. It was for us. It was all for the public. Too True says, I think this motion is valid. I do think it's valid. I do think the request is valid. But what was not valid was them not following the protective order and filing the motion. And that's what the state is saying. They're saying you were not supposed to speak about the details on this tape. You weren't supposed to say that there weren't celebrities on the tape. You're not supposed to talk about the tunnel. You're not supposed to talk about the consensual sexual activities. And you weren't supposed to talk about any of that due to the protective order. So they filed their motion right after the defense. And they asked the judge to strike the defense's motion from the docket. And guess what? The judge did it. If you go pull up this federal docket, the motion we just went over, filed on January 14th, which was docket number 126, is no longer visible. You cannot access that. This is the motion, and I'm not going to go through everything, but this is the letter that the government filed to direct defendants' January 14, 2025 letter motion to amend the protective order be removed from the docket and refiled with appropriate redactions. So Diddy's attorneys played a little loose with their motion, right? They gave us a little more than they were supposed to, a lot more. The government says the motion seeks an amendment to the protective order related to certain videos that have been made available to counsel and the defendant for inspection only and not electronically produced. In making this motion with incomplete redactions, however, the defendant violated the protective order. Isn't that crazy? You asked the court to amend it, but they violated it. And they did, because they put so many more details than they were supposed to tell us about those tapes. Let me see if they especially stated in here. Because remember, these tapes were AEO material, meaning that they was for attorney eyes only. So the fact that we know that there were 9 tapes that depicted 6 sexual episodes or escapades between, we're not supposed to know that. That was all things that were protected in the protective order, and they violated that. So the government says, Judge, they can file that, but they need to go back and do the redactions. And the judge, this is the blue right here. This says, let me see if I can put it in view. This says granted. So the government's motion to have that motion that Diddy filed redacted was granted. The clerk is directed to strike the motion at docket number 126 from the public docket and terminate the motion at docket 127. So the government won that part. Now they said, no, you got to go back and redact it. And his attorneys did, and they refiled it. But I'm not going to reread it, but I just want y'all to see how many more redactions they went back and added, which tells you that they were supposed to redact all of this stuff from the beginning. And Diddy filed this motion. So all that part where he was talking about no celebrities, and then he talks about no minors, and then the end part, that was supposed to be redacted. The information that they were giving us about the years and all that stuff they've been together and what happened when they went to go watch it. See how all of that now is blackened out and it wasn't in the first motion? That tells you Diddy's attorneys, they know what they were doing. They were like, all of these motions get covered by people like the fit lawyer ATL and the lead attorney and Emily D. Baker. So we know that it's getting out to the public. So let's break a little rule right quick, and let's, you know, put a little bit more information than we supposed to in the motion. And what's gonna happen? The government says something about it. Okay, we strike it and we refile it. So that is where things have ended. Diddy has refiled his motion along with an additional motion that says that the material shouldn't fall under that protective order. So we are waiting. So I believe the judge is, I don't know how long he's going to take to rule on these motions, but whatever he decides to rule will either give Diddy the tapes or not. So tell me what y'all think. Do you all think that Diddy should get the tapes? Or do you think that the tapes should remain attorney's eyes only? And yeah, I need a third screen before I can drop a poll, because it's so y'all just, okay, we're gonna do this. Drop a 1 in the chat if you think that Diddy should get the tapes. Drop a 2 in the chat if you think Diddy should not get the tapes. Give me a 1 if you think Diddy should get the tapes, and drop a 2 in the chat if you think he shouldn't. Shout out to Your Fit Photographer for a $10 super chat. Thank you so much. He says, I just wanted to say you are doing an amazing live. Thank you so much for the support. Shout out to Your Fit Photographer. If you all missed my last live when we celebrated 10K, not only did it support us then, but this is my photographer who does all my pictures. So my photo on YouTube, my branding pictures on my website. Your Fit Photographer is an amazing photographer down in Atlanta. So if you need a photographer, you should look him up on social media. Your Fit Photographer. Thank you so much for the support. So 1, to be fair. Yes, if you think Diddy should get the tape, SWAT says 1, to be fair. Yeah, we got to be fair. If you think Diddy should get the tapes. I see 1s in the chat. I see a couple 2s say no. Nene says no. Nah. Ida Kid says no. Something video that maybe you can verify. Oh, the fit lawyer ATL at gmail.com. Yeah, let me see that. Go ahead and send it to me. If it's something good, I might pull it up on the show. Let me see what you got. Yeah, I see a lot of 1s in the chat. Yeah, I mean, you got to be fair. I think they should turn over the tape, allow Diddy's attorneys to get experts to look at the tapes, and just see what helps. He has to build a defense, right? You can't just lock up somebody and throw away the key. Lynette Jackson says, drop a 3 in the chat if you think Diddy already has a copy of the tapes and wants us to believe otherwise. You know, I always thought he had them. Until they said Cassie turned over the tapes. And I'm like, well, they weren't taken in the raid from the house. So these 9 freak off tapes that we are talking about were not collected per Diddy's attorneys and the government. They were not collected from Diddy's home during the raid. These 9 tapes were turned over to the government by victim 1, who we pretty much allegedly believe is Cassie, December 2023, which would have been about 3 weeks after Cassie got a bag out of Diddy in the civil lawsuit. Yes, Here Come Drama says 1, they should absolutely have access. Yes, give them access. What do they get with getting access? He doesn't destroy the evidence. It allows them the chance to be up. I love how all y'all like 3. Y'all say Diddy already got the tapes, right? He already got the tapes. Yeah, I don't know what just happened. Okay, my camera flashed off, but I'm still here. So very, very interesting to see where this is going to go. SWAT says, so basically they only found baby oil and guns with the number removed since Cassie Ventura had the tape, right? Like, what did they confiscate out of Diddy's house? I thought they allegedly turned over, wasn't it like 8 terabytes of evidence? So what all is on the evidence? What is it? What other stuff do we have? Is it just witness tampering stuff for get people not to testify? Where is the evidence? Where are the victims? Anybody else remember the New York press conference that we had? It was like a 26-minute press conference, and they said they had victims with an S. We still on victim 1. It's been since September. on this indictment, and we still only have one victim, who is, we pretty much know is Cassie. So where's the rest of this case, y'all? Where's the rest of the case? I'm waiting on the documentaries. 50 Cent got 3 movies lined up to drop about this case. Like, where is the case? Where is the evidence? There were Rags to Riches 336 says there were terabytes seized from Diddy by the FBI. Right. So what was on them? I thought it was all the freak off tapes. I thought it was the sex party tapes. Apparently, they've turned over all the evidence to them, and the only thing they haven't gotten are these 9 videos that they have to watch under lock and key, and they are from Cassie. So did they, the terabytes that they turned over, were there sex party tapes on those? Is that where they are? I don't know, because I was trying to find out where all these people they said they were going to be on these tapes, y'all. I was waiting on the celebrity list, you know, allegedly. who they said was going to be on the tapes, allegedly. Like, where the tapes? I thought I was going to get some tea from these tapes. So I don't know, y'all, but that's where we are. So that's our latest Diddy update. No, Alchemy, this is still the original indictment. It has not been superseded yet. Great question. So we are waiting on that to occur, because when the press conference was done in September, the assistant USA, United States attorney said that they still had the grand jury impaneled, which meant that they possibly could be bringing additional charges. Now, I heard a rumor the other day, and I don't know how true it is, that another indictment is supposed to be unsealed in March. But I don't know, because I was looking at the pretrial schedule of like the things that are going to occur next. I mean, motions are due February 17th, pretrial motions, and trial is still set to start May 5th. So are we going to get an additional indictment? Are we going to find out who these unindicted co-conspirators are? Because who did he conspire with? Conspiracy usually means other people are involved. And while they may not charge the other people, like in the R. Kelly case, there were other people that were unindicted co-conspirators that are in jail with him as well, like his manager and some other people. So there are always others involved, but when is that going to come out? Yes, Damian Williams. That's who the attorney was at the press conference. And I haven't seen what he was talking about yet. So, right, that's when ish hit the fan in the R. Kelly indictment. Yes, when that superseding indictment comes down, or when they unleash it and you get to see all the other names, you get to see the people involved. Maybe they'll be able to connect a victim number 2 to this case. I'm not sure, but we are waiting. We're waiting. And so until then, y'all, I'm just going to keep watching this federal court docket. And I also, if y'all remember my last Diddy Live, there are affidavits that are due by tomorrow. So the stolen legal pads that were confiscated from Diddy's cell by the investigator one, on the government side, the judge ordered them to file affidavits. The attorney had to file an affidavit, the government's attorney, as well as this investigator one. And the affidavits are due by tomorrow. So I will be watching the docket. And if they are dropped tomorrow and we get to see them, I'll go live and talk about it. But because everything else in this case is sealed, the affidavits could be filed under seal. And so while they may be filed, we won't be able to see them. So I won't have anything to talk about. So we'll just see. I'll keep watching that docket, and we'll just see. Diddy and R. Kelly had a song, Satisfy You, together. Yes, they did. They did have some songs together. They sure did. Lynetta Jackson says, didn't attorney Ariel Mitchell Kidd say she clearly saw celebrity on tape? Well, now see, that was another tape. I thought that tape was the one that was not in the case, but it was going around. And whoever had the tape and it was going around, they were hoping that whoever the celebrity was on the tape would just buy the tape and kill it. And I'm assuming that's what happened, because we haven't heard any more about this tape. So, but I have all kind of theories of who was on this tape now. Because she was giving us some years they could have been born. And I think it allegedly occurred at their home in Atlanta. And so, y'all, I have my board about who I believe was on the tape, but I'm not going to drop that because it's so allegedly that I ain't trying to be in federal court like Tasha K. Okay? Like, I'm just getting started. We got 10K over here. I can't pay nobody nothing. So I'm going to keep who I believe was on that tape to myself. But yes, that was the tape that was just floating around. That was not part of the case, but someone was trying to get paid for that, somehow stumbled upon it. So, but yeah, I'm gonna keep my guesses to myself on that one. So y'all, we're gonna wrap it up. We've been an hour and a half here on this live. Thank you so much for tuning in. This has been an amazing live. Some stuff I just saw ASAP Rocky is going to trial next week, so I need to get caught up on that trial so I can bring y'all some updates on that, because that's going to be interesting. I did see a clip today where the judge was trying to confirm whether or not Rihanna was a wife or a girlfriend. And I mean, it was a whole 5-minute discussion. I was like, does it matter, Judge? But I guess he's like, you know, what do I call her? I mean, Rihanna's coming in my courtroom. He just seemed like he was more concerned about how he should address Rihanna than he was about this ASAP Rocky trial starting. So we're gonna talk about that. And yeah, we got some YSL updates. Christian Eppinger's case got pushed back. I actually saw Bruce Harvey and Miss Westmoreland in court today in the cab. So there, Yak has some more stuff coming up in his case. So I'll update you all on that. So, you know, I'm here to stay. So thank you all so much for tuning in. This has not been legal advice. I am just giving legal commentary and talking about Diddy. I am not your attorney. I want to give a shout out to Kay Smith, who became a new member today. I like to give a shout out to the Kid. Hit us up with a $10 super chat. Mixed Chicks blessed you all with 5 Fit Lawyer ATL memberships. Alchemy came through with a $20 super chat. Thank you so much, sis. Tamara Osborne blessed the channel with $20 super chat. Just Lee gave 5 Fit Lawyer memberships. Shout out Just Lee. And Your Fit Photographer blessed us with a $10 super chat. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I will be back soon with some more updates, and I'll see you in court.